Single
okay,
mom's
you're
car
safe
broke
now.
down in rain. Billionaire
I
stopped
was
and
so
fell in love
scared.
at first
Thank
sight.
you.
The rain was coming down so hard Mechelle couldn't see 3 feet in front of her car. Her daughter was screaming in the back seat. The engine was smoking. Her phone was dead. And they were on the side of Highway 17 in Charleston with 18-wheelers barreling past at 70 miles per hour, rocking their 15-year-old Honda every time one passed. She had $37 in her checking account. No roadside assistance. No family to call. Just an 8-year-old daughter who needed to get home, a teaching job she couldn't afford to lose, and a car that had finally given up after 200,000 miles of holding on. That's when the headlights appeared through the rain. A black Range Rover, brand new, the kind that cost more than she made in 3 years. It pulled up behind her, hazard lights flashing. The driver's door opened. And the man who stepped out into the storm was about to change everything. Before we dive into this incredible story of fate, second chances, and unexpected love, if you're new to this channel, please hit that like button right now, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, shout out your city and country, and subscribe so you never miss these powerful love stories. And to my amazing returning viewers, thank you for being here. Your loyalty means the world. Now let's see how one broken-down car in a rainstorm became the beginning of forever. Mechelle had known the car was dying. For 3 months, it had been making sounds no car should make. Grinding, wheezing, occasionally emitting a smell like burning plastic mixed with regret. Her friend Naomi had begged her to take it to a mechanic. But mechanics cost money, and money was something Mechelle categorized alongside unicorns and winning lottery tickets. Nice in theory, didn't exist in her reality. She was a second-grade teacher at Somerville Elementary. She made $38,000 a year before taxes. After rent, utilities, groceries, Sienna's after-school care, and the student loans that would outlive her, she had about $200 a month for everything else. Car repairs didn't fit in that budget. So she'd driven carefully. Avoided highways when possible. Prayed before every ignition. Changed the oil herself in the school parking lot using YouTube tutorials and determination. It had worked. Until tonight. Tonight, the car had other plans. They'd been driving home from Sienna's ballet recital, her daughter's first ever, wearing a pink tutu Mechelle had found at Goodwill and hand-washed until it looked almost new. Sienna had been so proud, spinning in circles in the school auditorium, her gap-toothed smile bright enough to power the city. Then, halfway home on Highway 17, the engine had started smoking. Mechelle had barely managed to pull onto the shoulder before the whole thing just stopped. Dead. No sputtering. No second chances. Just silence, then smoke. Then the rain that had been threatening all evening finally unleashed itself like the sky was personally angry at her. "Mama, why did we stop?" Sienna's voice was small from the back seat. "Car's just tired, baby. Give me a minute." Mechelle grabbed her phone. Dead. Of course it was dead. She'd been meaning to replace it for 6 months, but the charging port was broken and new phones cost money she didn't have. The rain hammered against the windshield so hard it sounded like drums. Or bullets. Outside, the highway was a river of headlights and spray, cars whipping past without slowing, without seeing, without caring that a woman and a child were stranded. "I'm scared," Sienna whispered. "Don't be scared, baby. Mama's got this." Except Mama didn't have this. Mama had no phone, no money for a tow truck, no family within 500 miles, and a daughter who needed to be home, dry, safe. She tried the ignition again. Nothing. Not even a click. A semi-truck roared past, close enough that their car shook violently. Sienna screamed. "It's okay, it's okay." Mechelle reached back, grabbed her daughter's hand. "We're safe. We're fine." But they weren't fine. They were stuck on a highway in a storm with no way to call for help. And with every passing minute, the situation was getting more dangerous. That's when she saw the headlights in her rearview mirror. A vehicle pulling up behind them. Not passing. Stopping. Michelle's first instinct was fear. Every news story she'd ever heard about women on dark roads, every warning her grandmother had given her, Every statistic about vulnerable people in vulnerable moments flooded her mind. But then she saw the car. A Range Rover. Black. Brand new, probably this year's model. The kind of car that cost what she made in 3 years. Maybe 4. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out into the rain. Tall, even from this distance. White. Well-dressed in what looked like an expensive jacket and slacks despite the storm. He moved with purpose toward her car, getting soaked, not seeming to care. Michelle's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He knocked on her window. Not aggressive. Gentle. She could see his face now through the rain-streaked glass, late 30s, strong features, dark hair plastered to his forehead from the downpour. Concerned eyes. Blue, she thought, though it was hard to tell in the storm. She cracked the window an inch. Rain immediately started coming in. "Are you okay?" His voice was deep, but not threatening. Genuinely worried. "Your hazards are on. Is your car broken down?" "We're fine," she said automatically. The lie everyone tells when they're not fine at all. "Ma'am, with respect, you're not fine. You're on the shoulder of a highway in a storm with what looks like engine smoke." He glanced at the hood of her car. "Have you called for help? Phone's dead. Do you have roadside assistance?" She almost laughed. Roadside assistance. That would require money and planning and the kind of life where you could afford luxuries like help when you needed it. No. He was quiet for a moment, rain streaming down his face. Then, "Let me call a tow truck for you. And let me give you and your daughter a ride somewhere safe while you wait." Every alarm bell in Michelle's head went off. Strange man. Dark highway. Offer that sounded too good. This was how horror movies started. "I don't think so," she said. "I understand." He didn't seem offended. "I'm Robert Williams. I own Williams Property Group here in Charleston. You can Google me right now if your phone was working. I have a daughter about your girl's age. If my daughter was stuck on this highway, I'd want someone to stop and help. Please. Let me help." Sienna's voice came from the back seat. "Mama, I'm cold." The car was getting cold. With the engine dead, there was no heat. Sienna was still in her thin ballet outfit, and Michelle's jacket could only do so much. Another semi roared past, so close that Mechelle felt the car rock dangerously. Robert, if that was his real name, saw her flinch. "This isn't safe," he said quietly. "Please. Just let me get you off this highway. You can choose where I take you. Police station, fire station, anywhere you feel safe. But you can't stay here." He was right. She knew he was right. "Your daughter," Mechelle said. "How old?" 9. Her name's Riley. She's with her grandmother tonight, or she'd be in my car right now and I'd introduce you so you'd feel safer." He pulled out his phone, held it up to the window. "Look. This is us at her soccer game last weekend." The photo showed a little girl with blonde pigtails and a huge smile, standing next to Robert in a soccer uniform, his arm around her shoulders. They looked happy. Real. Not like a picture someone would stage to lure women into danger. Mechelle looked at Sienna in the rearview mirror. Her baby was shivering now, arms wrapped around herself, eyes wide with fear every time a car passed. "Okay," Mechelle heard herself say. "But I'm taking a picture of your license plate first. And texting it to my friend." "Smart," Robert said. "Except your phone's dead. Then you're giving me your driver's license and I'm memorizing your information." For the first time, he smiled. Deal. Robert's driver's license confirmed everything he'd said. Robert Christopher Williams. Born March 15, 1985. Address in the historic district of Charleston, the kind of address that meant money, history, old Southern wealth mixed with new success. Mechelle memorized every detail while standing in the rain, water soaking through her jacket, her hair plastered to her face. She'd make Naomi run a background check tomorrow, assuming they survived tonight. "Satisfied?" Robert asked. He was drenched, rain dripping from his nose, his expensive jacket probably ruined. He didn't seem to care. Getting there. She handed back the license. Where exactly are you taking us? Wherever you want. There's a fire station 2 miles north. Police station 4 miles south. Or I can take you to a gas station with a convenience store where you can wait inside while the tow truck comes. Your choice. Completely. The complete deference to her comfort made her feel slightly less like she was about to become a true crime podcast episode. Gas station, she decided. The one at the intersection with Route 52. It's well lit. Has cameras. Perfect. He was already moving toward his Range Rover, gesturing for her to follow. Let's get your daughter out of the cold. Mechelle opened the back door of her Honda. Sienna looked up at her with eyes so trusting it hurt. Her baby believed Mama could fix anything, solve any problem, make everything okay. If only that were true. Come on, sweet girl. We're getting a ride from Mr. Williams here. He's going to take us somewhere warm while we wait for the tow truck. Is our car going to be okay? Sienna's voice was small. Mechelle didn't know how to answer that. The car was dead. Even if a tow truck came, even if a mechanic could fix it, she couldn't afford the repairs. She couldn't afford anything beyond basic survival. We'll figure it out, she said instead. The phrase she'd been using for 6 years. Since Sienna's father left. Since she'd become a single mother with a teaching degree and dreams that felt increasingly impossible. Come on, baby. Robert had already opened the back door of his Range Rover. The interior was immaculate, leather seats, that new car smell, heated seats that were already warming up. It looked like a commercial. Like something from a life Mechelle had stopped imagining for herself. She buckled Sienna into the back seat, then climbed into the passenger seat up front. The heat was glorious. She hadn't realized how cold she'd gotten until warmth surrounded her. Robert got in, water dripping onto the pristine leather. Gas station at Route 52, correct? Yes. Thank you. He pulled carefully back onto the highway. The Range Rover handled the storm like it was nothing. Smooth, steady, safe. So different from her Honda's constant rattling and questionable steering. I'm going to call for a tow truck now, Robert said, phone already in hand. What company do you use? I don't have a company. I can't afford. She stopped. Too much information. This stranger didn't need to know about her financial disasters. But Robert's expression didn't change. No judgment. No pity. Just understanding. I'll call the company I use. They're reliable and fair. We'll get your car taken care of. I can't afford expensive. Let's just get it towed first. Worry about the rest later. He made the call while driving, one hand steady on the wheel, voice calm and authoritative as he explained the situation. Gave the location of her Honda. Requested a tow to. He paused, looked at her questioningly. Is there a particular mechanic you trust? He asked. Trust implied experience. Implied options. No. Then I'll have them tow it to Martinez Auto. He's honest. Won't overcharge. He went back to the phone, finished the arrangements, then hung up. Truck will be there in 20 minutes. They'll take it to Martinez. He'll call you tomorrow with an assessment. I don't have a working phone. Right. Can he call a friend? Or work number? Mechelle rattled off Somerville Elementary's main office number. It was humiliating, having to use her work phone for personal emergencies, but the secretary Mrs. Patterson was kind and wouldn't judge. The gas station came into view, bright fluorescent lights cutting through the rain like a beacon. Robert pulled under the covered area near the entrance, put the car in park. You can wait inside, he said. It's warm. Has coffee. Restrooms if you need them. Mechelle unbuckled, started to open her door, then stopped. How much do I owe you? For the tow truck. You don't owe me anything. I can't let you pay for. You're not letting me do anything. I already did it. His voice was gentle but firm. Consider it paying forward the help my mother got once when I was a kid and we broke down. Someone stopped, called a tow truck, made sure we were safe. She never forgot that kindness. There it was. The story behind the help. The reason he'd stopped. Your mother, Mechelle started, died 6 years ago. Cancer. Robert's jaw tightened. But she taught me a lot about helping people. About being the person who stops instead of drives past. I'm sorry. About your mother. Thank you. He looked back at Sienna, who was staring out the window at the gas station with wide eyes. Your daughter did great at her recital tonight, I'm guessing? Mechelle blinked at the subject change. How did you know? The tutu. She's still wearing it under her jacket. He smiled. My daughter Riley just started ballet. She wears her outfit everywhere now. To bed. To school. To the grocery store. I've given up fighting it. Despite everything, the broken car, the storm, the financial catastrophe looming, Mechelle felt herself smile. Sienna wanted to sleep in hers last week. I had to negotiate it off her with the promise she could wear it again tomorrow. The things we do for our girls. Yeah. Michelle's throat felt tight. When was the last time someone understood? Really understood the exhaustion and joy and terror of single parenting? When was the last time she'd talked to another parent who got it? Her phone was dead so she couldn't check the time, but it felt late. Sienna needed to get home, into dry clothes, into bed. She had school tomorrow and Mechelle had work. Thank you, Mechelle said quietly. For stopping. For the tow truck. For being kind. You didn't have to do any of that. I know. Robert's blue eyes were steady on hers. But I wanted to. And before you leave, can I give you my number? In case you need anything with the car situation. Or if the mechanic tries to overcharge. Martinez is honest, but it's good to have backup. Every instinct told her to say no. To keep boundaries. To not let this wealthy stranger into her life any more than he already was. But looking at him, genuinely concerned, not expecting anything, just offering help, she found herself nodding. Okay. But I'll have to remember it since my phone's dead. Write it down. He pulled a business card from his wallet, flipped it over, wrote a number on the back in neat handwriting. That's my personal cell. Not the business line. Call anytime if you need anything. Mechelle took the card. Heavy stock. Embossed letters. Williams Property Group, Robert C. Williams, CEO and founder. Below that, an address in downtown Charleston's most expensive district. CEO and founder. Of course he was. Come on, Sienna, Mechelle said, opening her door. Let's get inside where it's warm. Sienna climbed out, still in her precious tutu, and took Michelle's hand. They started toward the gas station entrance, rain immediately soaking them again despite the short distance. Ms. Waller. Mechelle turned back. Robert had rolled down his window. I'm glad I stopped, he said simply. She didn't know what to say to that. So she just nodded and led her daughter inside. The call came at 10:47 the next morning. Mechelle was in the middle of teaching her second graders about fractions when Mrs. Patterson knocked on her classroom door, phone in hand, apologetic expression on her face. It's the mechanic, she whispered. Says it's urgent. Michelle's stomach dropped. Nothing good ever followed the word urgent when it came to car repairs. She left her teaching assistant Miss Jennifer with the kids and took the call in the hallway, heart pounding. Ms. Waller? This is Carlos Martinez from Martinez Auto. Got your Honda here that was towed in last night. Yes. What's the damage? She tried to keep her voice steady. Carlos sighed. It was the kind of sigh mechanics give when they're about to ruin your day. Ma'am, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Your engine's completely seized. Looks like the oil pump failed, probably been failing for months. Without oil circulation, the engine overheated and basically destroyed itself. Pistons are scored, cylinders are damaged, the whole thing's shot. Mechelle leaned against the hallway wall. Can you fix it? I can. But you're looking at a full engine replacement or rebuild. Parts and labor, we're talking $6,000 to $8,000 minimum. And honestly, for a 15-year-old Honda with 200,000 miles, that's more than the car's worth. You'd be better off buying a different used car. $6,000 to $8,000. She had $37 in her checking account. How much would a used car cost? Her voice sounded distant, like someone else was asking. Depends what you want. Something reliable with lower miles, you're still looking at $8,000 to $10,000. I could find you something cheaper, maybe $4,000 or $5,000, but it'd be older with higher mileage. Basically trading one problem for another. For $1,000 might as well be $4 million. Ms. Waller? You still there? Yeah, I'm here. She pressed her palm against her forehead. What are my options? Honestly, you got 3 choices. 1. Pay for the engine replacement, which I don't recommend. 2. Buy a different car somehow. Or 3. I can give you $500 for your Honda as scrap and you can use that towards something else. $500. For the car that had carried her and Sienna safely for 6 years. The car she'd changed oil in, repaired herself, prayed over every morning. Can I think about it? Sure. But I gotta charge you storage fees if the car sits here more than a week. $25 a day. Of course he did. Another expense she couldn't afford. I'll call you back. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. She hung up and stood in the empty hallway, staring at the bulletin board full of student artwork, trying not to cry. Teachers didn't cry in school hallways. Teachers held it together. But she had no car. No money for a car. No way to get to work except begging rides from colleagues. No way to take Sienna to school, to ballet, to doctor's appointments. Her phone, the school's phone, buzzed with a text from Naomi. How'd it go with the car? Call me at lunch. Before she could respond, another number appeared. Unknown. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Ms. Waller? It's Robert Williams. From last night. I hope I'm not bothering you at work. His voice was warm, familiar despite having only met him once. Professional but kind. Mr. Williams. No, it's okay. I just got off the phone with the mechanic, actually. Martinez? What did he say? She explained. The failed oil pump. The seized engine. The $6,000 to $8,000 repair that made no sense. The $4,000 to $5,000 used car she couldn't afford. The $500 scrap value that felt like adding insult to catastrophe. Robert was quiet for a moment. Then, what if I bought the car from you? What? Your Honda. What if I bought it from you for, say, $3,000? That gives you more than scrap value, and I can use it for parts for my property company. We have several work trucks that use similar engines. $3,000. It was more than scrap, but still nowhere near enough for a reliable replacement vehicle. Mr. Williams, that's generous, but I can't accept. It's not charity. It's a business transaction. I need the parts. You need cash. Plus, I have a proposal that might help with the car situation. Michelle's wariness returned. Here it comes, she thought. The catch. The strings attached. What kind of proposal? I have a car sitting in my garage that nobody uses. It's my late wife's car. A 2019 Honda Civic. Only 35,000 miles. It's been sitting there for 3 years because I can't bring myself to sell it, but I also can't stand seeing it unused when someone could actually benefit from it. Michelle's breath caught. Your wife. She died 4 years ago. Car accident. His voice was steady but tight. Riley was 5. It's been just the 2 of us since then. And that car has been sitting in my garage collecting dust because selling it felt like erasing her, but keeping it unused feels like waste. Mr. Williams, I'm so sorry. Robert. Please call me Robert. He paused. Here's what I'm proposing. You can use the Civic. Consider it a long-term loan. No payments. You just cover insurance and gas. When you get back on your feet. Financially, if you want to buy it from me, we'll work something out. If not, you can return it whenever. It was too much. Too generous. Too good to be true. Why would you do that for a stranger? Because someone helped my mother once when I was a kid and we needed it. Because I have a daughter and I understand what it's like to worry about keeping them safe. Because that car should be helping someone instead of gathering dust. He took a breath. And because when I met you last night, I saw someone who's been fighting hard to keep things together. That deserves support, not more struggle. Mechelle felt tears burning behind her eyes. In the 6 years since Sienna's father left, since she'd become a single mother with more responsibilities than resources, nobody had offered help like this. No strings. No judgment. Just genuine kindness. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Talk to your friend Naomi, the one you mentioned last night. Google me, make sure I'm legitimate. Run a background check if you want. Then call me back and let me know. Robert, this is too much. It's a car that's sitting unused. You need reliable transportation. It's practical, not charity. His voice softened. My wife Sarah would have wanted this. She was always helping people. Teacher, actually. 3rd grade. She would have understood your situation completely. A teacher. His late wife had been a teacher. Okay, Mechelle heard herself say. I'll think about it. And thank you. For everything. Call me when you've decided. And Ms. Waller. Yes. You're doing an amazing job with your daughter. I could see that last night in 30 seconds. Whatever struggles you're facing, you're getting the important part right. After they hung up, Mechelle stood in that hallway for a full minute, holding the phone, trying to process what had just happened. A stranger, wealthy, kind, grieving his own losses, was offering her a lifeline. The question was whether she was brave enough to take it. Naomi showed up at Mechelle's apartment that evening with Chinese takeout, determination, and her laptop. Okay, spill everything, Naomi said, setting the food on the coffee table. You texted me that a billionaire is giving you a free car. I need the full story before I decide if this is a miracle or a red flag. Mechelle told her everything while Sienna colored at the kitchen table, safely out of earshot. The breakdown. Robert stopping. The tow truck. The dead engine. The proposal. Naomi listened, eating lo mein, her expression cycling through skepticism, surprise, and cautious optimism. Let me look him up, she said, fingers already flying across her keyboard. The search results were immediate and extensive. Robert Christopher Williams, 39, CEO and founder of Williams Property Group. Local news articles about his company's developments across Charleston. A feature in Charleston Magazine about his rise from construction worker to real estate mogul. Multiple charity board positions. A sizable donation to the local children's hospital in his late wife's name. Sarah Williams Memorial Fund, Naomi read aloud. Established 2021. Provides resources for children who've lost parents. Over $300,000 donated so far. She clicked on another link. An obituary from 4 years ago. Sarah Elizabeth Williams, née Patterson, died tragically in a car accident on Highway 26, survived by her husband Robert and daughter Riley. Naomi's voice trailed off. Oh, Mechelle. This is real. She was a teacher at Oakbrook Elementary. 3rd grade, just like he said. They found more. Photos of Robert at charity events, always with his daughter. Articles about his company's commitment to affordable housing development. A video interview where he discussed balancing single parenthood with running a business. He seems legitimate, Naomi admitted. No criminal record I can find. No weird lawsuits. Business has excellent reputation. Employees seem to love working for him based on these reviews. She looked up. But Mechelle, this is still a lot. A free car? From someone you just met. He says it's a long-term loan. And when someone that wealthy says loan with no payment plan, you know what that really is. A gift he's too polite to call a gift. Naomi leaned back. Question is, why? What does he want? He said his wife would have wanted this. That she was always helping people. Maybe. Naomi's expression softened. Or maybe he's a genuinely good guy who has the resources to help and wants to. Those exist, you know. Rare, but they exist. So you think I should take it? I think you need a car. I think this man seems legitimate and kind. I think he's probably lonely, raising a daughter alone, and maybe helping you helps him feel like he's honoring his wife's memory. Naomi grabbed an egg roll. I also think you should be careful. Not because he seems dangerous, he doesn't, but because accepting major help from someone creates connection. And connection can get complicated. Mechelle knew what she meant. She'd been alone for 6 years. Focused entirely on Sienna and survival. She'd stopped thinking about relationships, about men, about anything beyond making it through each day. I'm not looking for anything, Mechelle said quietly. I know. But girl, did you see his picture? That man is fine. Rich, kind, good father, and attractive? That's basically a unicorn. Naomi grinned. I'm just saying, be aware. Guard your heart. Take the help you need, but remember that Mr. Billionaire Real Estate lives in a completely different world than us. Trust me, I know. His address is in the historic district. His car costs more than I make in 3 years. Exactly. So take the car, be grateful, keep appropriate boundaries, and don't let yourself get hurt. Naomi squeezed her hand. You've been through enough, Mechelle. You deserve help. You deserve kindness. Just protect yourself, okay? That night, after Sienna was asleep, Mechelle stood at her apartment window looking at the parking lot where her Honda should have been. The empty space felt like a metaphor for her whole life, something essential missing, a gap she didn't know how to fill. She pulled out Robert's business card, the one with his personal cell number written on the back in neat handwriting. Before she could talk herself out of it, she borrowed Naomi's phone and called. He answered on the second ring. Hello, Robert. It's Mechelle Waller. I hope it's not too late to call. Not at all. I was just helping Riley with her homework. Well, helping is generous. She's doing homework. I'm pretending to understand 4th grade math. Mechelle smiled despite her nerves. I wanted to talk about your offer. The car. Okay. I need to know what you really want. Because in my experience, nothing is free. So if there are expectations or conditions or anything I should know about, please tell me now. Robert was quiet for a moment. She could hear muffled sounds in the background, his daughter's voice, something about multiplication. Fair question, he said finally. What I want is for that car to be used by someone who needs it. What I want is to honor my wife's memory by helping a teacher and her daughter. What I want is to feel like I did something good in a world that often feels pretty dark. He paused. I don't want anything from you, Mechelle. No repayment. No obligation. No expectations. Just a car being used for its intended purpose instead of sitting in my garage making me sad. What if I can't afford the insurance? We'll figure it out. I have a friend who's an insurance agent. He can probably find you something affordable. What if something breaks? It's still under warranty. And if something happens after the warranty expires, we'll deal with it then. What if? Mechelle. His voice was gentle but firm. I can hear you trying to find reasons to say no. Trying to protect yourself from disappointment or obligation or whatever you're worried about. I get it. But sometimes people just want to help. No catch. No strings. Just help. She felt tears threatening again. When had crying become her default response? Why me? She whispered. Because you needed help and I was there. Because your daughter was wearing a tutu in a rainstorm and it reminded me of Riley. Because you're clearly doing everything right despite everything being hard. He took a breath. And because when I met you last night, even terrified and stranded, you were still thinking about protecting your daughter. That kind of strength deserves support. Okay, Mechelle said softly. Okay. Okay, I'll accept. The car. The help. All of it. And thank you. Really, truly, thank you. You're welcome. Can you come by tomorrow after work? I'll have the car ready, title transferred, everything handled. Bring Sienna if you want. Riley would probably love to meet another girl who likes ballet. They arranged a time. Exchanged a few more details. Then Mechelle hung up and sat on her couch, staring at Naomi's phone, trying to process what had just happened. A stranger had stopped in a rainstorm. And somehow, impossibly, her life was changing. Robert's house was not what Mechelle expected. Yes, it was in the historic district. Yes, it was beautiful, a restored colonial with white columns and black shutters. But it wasn't ostentatious. No excessive size. No pretentious displays of wealth. Just a lovely home that looked warm and lived in. Riley answered the door, blonde pigtails bouncing, gap-toothed smile bright as sunshine. You're Sienna. Dad said you were coming. Do you like ballet? I like ballet. Want to see my room? I have a ballet poster. The words tumbled out so fast Mechelle barely caught them all. Behind Riley, Robert appeared, laughing. Riley, breathe. Let them come inside first. Sorry, Dad. Riley grabbed Sienna's hand. Come on. I'll show you my room. The girls disappeared up the stairs in a flurry of giggles, leaving Mechelle and Robert in the foyer. Sorry about that, Robert said. She's been excited all day. Doesn't get to make new friends very often. Neither does Sienna. This is good for her. Mechelle looked around. The house was decorated simply but beautifully. Family photos everywhere, Robert and Riley at various ages, and throughout the house, photos of a lovely blonde woman who must have been Sarah. Robert noticed her looking. I can't bring myself to take them down. Some people say I should move on, pack them away, but... Don't, Mechelle said firmly. Those photos are Riley's mother. She should see her everywhere. Know she was loved. That she mattered. Robert's expression shifted. Grateful. Relieved. Thank you for understanding that. Not everyone does. Sienna's father left when she was 2. No photos. No memories. No presents at all. Riley has something precious. Proof that her mother existed, loved her, was part of her life. Don't take that away. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, 2 single parents who understood loss in different ways. The car's in the garage, Robert said finally. Want to see it? The Honda Civic was pristine. Silver, spotless, looking barely used despite being 3 years old. I've been starting it weekly, Robert explained. Keeping the battery charged, fluids checked. It's in perfect condition. I had my mechanic do a full inspection yesterday just to be sure. Mechelle ran her hand along the hood. It's beautiful. It was Sarah's dream car. She'd driven a beat-up truck through college and her first teaching years. When I finally had money to buy her something nice, she wanted a Honda Civic. Nothing flashy. Just reliable and fuel-efficient. He smiled sadly. Very Sarah. She sounds wonderful. She was. Robert pulled out keys, handed them to Mechelle. It's yours now. Titles already transferred to your name. Registration, insurance card, everything's in the glove box. My insurance agent got you a policy. I covered the first year. After that it'll be about $80 a month if you want to keep the same coverage. Robert, I can't let you pay for. First year is a gift. After that, you pay if you can, or we renegotiate if you can't. But let's not worry about next year right now. Let's just get you mobile again. Mechelle took the keys, her hand trembling slightly. I don't know how to repay this. You don't repay it. You drive it safely, take care of it, use it to build a better life for you and Sienna. That's all the repayment needed. Upstairs, they could hear the girls laughing, feet thundering across the floor, the particular chaos of children making fast friends. Want to stay for dinner? Robert asked suddenly. I was planning to order pizza. Nothing fancy, but the girls seemed to be having fun. Every instinct told Mechelle to decline, to maintain boundaries, to not let this kindness become something more complicated. But then she heard Sienna's laugh, a sound she'd heard too rarely in recent months, and found herself nodding. Pizza sounds great. Dinner was chaos in the best way. Riley and Sienna sat together, giggling over private jokes, trading pizza toppings, showing each other ballet moves. Robert and Mechelle sat at the kitchen island, watching them, exchanging the knowing glances of parents who understood how rare this was, their children happy, carefree, just being kids. Riley doesn't usually warm up to people this fast, Robert said quietly. She's been pretty guarded since Sarah died. Sienna too. Since her father left. Mechelle took a sip of the wine Robert had offered. Good wine, the kind she never bought for herself. She's learned to be cautious. How old was she when he left? 2. He didn't want the responsibility. Said he was too young for fatherhood. She tried to keep the bitterness from her voice. Failed. Haven't heard from him in 6 years. No child support. No calls. Nothing. That's his loss. His enormous loss. The simple certainty in Robert's voice made something in Michelle's chest loosen. She'd spent years feeling like maybe she'd done something wrong, maybe she'd failed somehow to make Sienna's father stay. But Robert's tone suggested the failure was entirely on the man who'd left, not the woman who'd stayed and fought and built a life from the wreckage. What was Sarah like? Mechelle asked. As a person. Robert's face softened. Stubborn. Kind. Funny. She had this way of seeing the best in everyone, even when they didn't deserve it. Teaching wasn't just her job, it was her calling. She'd spend hours planning lessons, buying supplies with her own money, staying late to help struggling students. He smiled. We met at a charity event. She was volunteering. I was donating. She called me out for treating charity like a tax write-off instead of genuinely caring. I fell in love right there. How long were you married? 8 years. Best 8 years of my life. Then one drunk driver on Highway 26, and everything changed. His jaw tightened. Riley was in the car. She survived with minor injuries. Sarah didn't. Oh, Robert. Riley doesn't remember much. She was 5. Sometimes I'm grateful for that, sometimes it kills me that she's losing memories of her mother. He looked at the photos on the wall. That's why I keep the pictures everywhere. Why I talk about Sarah constantly. So Riley never forgets she was loved. Mechelle understood completely. Different circumstances, different losses, but the same fierce determination to protect their daughters from feeling unwanted or forgotten. You're doing everything right, she said softly. So are you. Their eyes met. Held. There was something there. Understanding, recognition, the awareness of two people who'd been fighting similar battles in different ways. Not attraction exactly, though Mechelle couldn't deny he was handsome. More like recognition, kinship. Dad. Riley called from the living room. Can Sienna stay for a movie? Please. We want to watch Frozen. Robert looked at Mechelle questioningly. She should say no. Should take Sienna home, maintain boundaries, not let this evening become something regular. But Sienna was happy. Genuinely happy. When was the last time she'd had a friend to watch movies with? One movie, Mechelle conceded. But then we really need to go. School tomorrow. The girls cheered. Robert smiled. I'll make popcorn. 3 hours later, Mechelle drove home in the Civic with Sienna half asleep in the back seat, humming Let It Go off-key. The car drove like a dream, smooth, quiet, reliable. Everything her old Honda wasn't. Mama. Sienna's sleepy voice came from the back. Yes, baby. Riley's nice. Can we see her again? Maybe. We'll see. I hope so. I like having a friend. Sienna yawned. And Mr. Williams is nice too. He reminds me of the dads in movies. Michelle's throat tightened. Sienna had never had a father figure. Never experienced what a present, engaged dad looked like. He's a good man, Mechelle said carefully. But baby, remember we just met him. We can't count on people we barely know. I know, Mama. You say that a lot. Yeah. She did. Because life had taught her that people left. People disappointed. People promised things they couldn't deliver. But as she pulled into her apartment parking lot, into a spot she could now reliably fill every day, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, Robert Williams might be different. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of routine that slowly became something more. Mechelle drove the Civic to work every day, marveling at not having to pray before every ignition, not having to worry about breaking down. Sienna rode safely in the back, no longer anxious about their commute. Robert texted occasionally. Nothing inappropriate, just checking that the car was running well, that she hadn't had any issues. Professional. Friendly. Appropriate. Then Riley invited Sienna to her birthday party. The invitation came through Robert, a text message that Mechelle read 3 times, trying to parse what it meant. Riley's turning 10 next Saturday. Small party at our house, just a few kids from her class. She specifically asked if Sienna could come. No pressure if it's too much, but Riley would really love to have her there. Mechelle called Naomi immediately. It's a kid's birthday party, Naomi said reasonably. What's the problem? The problem is it's crossing from he helped me once, to our kids are becoming friends to we're becoming part of each other's lives. And I can't afford that kind of connection. Emotionally or literally. These people live in a different world, Naomi. His daughter's birthday party probably costs more than my rent. So, your daughter deserves friends. Riley sounds sweet. Let Sienna go to the party. But what do I buy for a gift? What does a kid who has everything want? I can't compete with. Mechelle. Stop. Naomi's voice was firm. You're spiraling. Sienna wants to go to her friend's birthday party. That's it. That's all this is. Buy a normal present, show up, let your daughter have fun. Stop making it complicated. But it was complicated. Because Mechelle had caught herself thinking about Robert at odd moments. Remembering how kind he'd been. How he'd understood her situation without judgment. How good he was with Riley. Patient and present and loving in ways Sienna's father had never been. She wasn't falling for him. She wasn't. But she was noticing him. And that felt dangerous. The birthday party was exactly what Naomi predicted, not ostentatious, just warm and welcoming. Robert had decorated the backyard with streamers and balloons. A bounce house occupied half the lawn. A long table held pizza, fruit, vegetables, juice boxes. Nothing over the top, just a lovely party for a 10-year-old girl. Riley greeted Sienna with a squeal and a hug, dragging her immediately toward the bounce house where several other girls were already playing. She's been asking about Sienna all week, Robert said, appearing at Michelle's elbow. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting her. Mechelle held out the wrapped present, a ballet-themed journal she'd found at Target, carefully chosen to be nice but not embarrassingly cheap. I hope she likes it. She'll love it. Riley journals every night. It's how she processes things. Robert gestured toward the patio. Can I get you something to drink? We have lemonade, tea, wine for the brave parents who are staying. Mechelle hadn't planned to stay. But looking at Sienna's happy face, her daughter already absorbed in play with new friends, she found herself nodding. Lemonade sounds great. The other parents were friendly, mostly mothers, a few fathers, all from Riley's private school. They welcomed Mechelle warmly, asking about Sienna, where she went to school, how old she was. Surface-level parent conversation that felt comfortable and safe. Then one woman, blonde, perfectly dressed, diamond earrings that probably cost more than Michelle's monthly salary, asked the question Mechelle had been dreading. So how do you and Robert know each other? The whole group was suddenly listening. Mechelle hesitated. What could she say? He stopped when my car broke down? He gave me his late wife's car out of kindness? We barely know each other, but our daughters are friends? We met a few weeks ago, Mechelle said carefully. Our daughters hit it off. That's sweet. The blonde woman, her name tag read Jennifer, smiled. It didn't quite reach her eyes. Robert's been so isolated since Sarah died. It's good to see him socializing again. Making new friends. The emphasis on friends was slight but unmistakable. Robert and I aren't. Mechelle started. Of course not. I didn't mean to imply anything. Jennifer's smile sharpened. It's just that several of us have been trying to set him up for years. He's very particular about who he lets into his and Riley's life. You must be very special. The subtext was clear. Who are you? Why you? What makes you think you belong here? Mechelle felt herself pulling back, remembering every reason she shouldn't be here. The class difference. The wealth gap. The fact that she was a struggling single mother who'd accepted charity from a man whose world she didn't fit into. Excuse me, she mumbled, heading toward the house. She found herself in Robert's kitchen, leaning against the counter, trying to steady her breathing. Hey. Robert's voice came from the doorway. You okay? Jennifer can be intense. I shouldn't have come. What? Why? Mechelle turned to face him. Because I don't belong here, Robert. These people, your life, it's completely different from mine. That woman Jennifer is right. I don't fit into your world. Who says you need to fit into my world? Robert moved closer. Mechelle, I invited you because Riley wanted Sienna here. Because our daughters are friends. Not because of social climbing or networking or whatever Jennifer thinks happens at 10-year-olds' birthday parties. But she's right. We're from different worlds. You're a billionaire. I'm a teacher living paycheck to paycheck. You have a mansion. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. You drive luxury cars. I'm driving your charity. Stop. Robert's voice was firm. That car isn't charity. My friendship isn't charity. Riley's friendship with Sienna isn't charity. And I don't give a damn about different worlds or social classes or whatever categories you're using to talk yourself out of being here. Robert, do you know what I see when I look at you? He stepped closer. I see someone who works 2 jobs worth of hours in one teaching job. Someone who hand-washes thrift store tutus so her daughter can feel special. Someone who changes her own oil and learns car repair from YouTube because she can't afford a mechanic. Someone who's been doing everything alone and making it work through sheer determination. His voice softened. I see strength. Real strength. Not the kind that comes from money or success, but the kind that comes from surviving things that would break most people. Mechelle felt tears burning. Why do you care? Because I lost someone who cared about people the way you care about your daughter. Because in the 4 years since Sarah died, I've been going through the motions of living without really connecting to anyone. Because when I met you in that rainstorm, something in me woke up again. He took a breath. And because Riley talks about Sienna constantly. She hasn't had a real friend in years. You gave my daughter something precious, companionship, friendship, someone who understands what it's like to have only one parent. That's about the girls, Mechelle said quietly. Yeah, mostly. Robert's eyes met hers. But not entirely. And I think you know that. The air between them felt charged, heavy with things unsaid. "I can't afford to get hurt again," Mechelle whispered. "I have Sienna to think about. Her stability. Her security. I can't let her get attached to people who might leave." "I'm not leaving. I'm not your ex. I'm not someone who walks away when things get hard." "You don't know that. You don't know what might happen. What might change." "You're right. I don't. None of us know the future." Robert's expression was earnest, intense. "But I know I want to keep seeing you. And Riley. I know that the past 3 weeks, texting you, knowing you were driving Sarah's car safely, hearing about your days, that's been the happiest I've been in 4 years. And I know that's terrifying because we barely know each other and this is all happening fast and there's 1,000 reasons why this is complicated." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying let's figure it out. Together. Slowly. No pressure. Just, let's see what this could be." Outside, the girls' laughter echoed through the house. Happy. Carefree. The sound of children who felt safe and loved. Mechelle looked at Robert, really looked at him. Not as the billionaire who'd rescued her. Not as the charity giver she felt indebted to. But as a man. A father. Someone who'd also lost and survived and was trying to build something good from the wreckage. "Okay," she said softly. "Slowly. No pressure. We'll see." The smile that broke across Robert's face was worth every moment of fear. The next 2 months were a study in slow, deliberate building. Robert didn't rush. Didn't push. He simply made space in his life for Mechelle and Sienna, and slowly, carefully, they filled it. Playdates became regular. Saturday mornings at the park. Weeknight dinners when schedules allowed. Riley's soccer games where Sienna cheered from the sidelines and Mechelle found herself standing next to Robert, their shoulders touching, comfortable in the shared silence of watching their daughters. They talked. Hours of conversation about everything and nothing. About teaching and real estate. About single parenting and grief and survival. About dreams deferred and hopes persistent. Mechelle was in the middle of teaching her second graders about fractions when Mrs. Patterson knocked on her classroom door, phone in hand, apologetic expression on her face. "It's the mechanic," she whispered. "Says it's urgent." Michelle's stomach dropped. Nothing good ever followed the word urgent when it came to car repairs. She left her teaching assistant Miss Jennifer with the kids and took the call in the hallway, heart pounding. "Ms. Waller? This is Carlos Martinez from Martinez Auto. Got your Honda here that was towed in last night." "Yes. What's the damage?" She tried to keep her voice steady. Carlos sighed. It was the kind of sigh mechanics give when they're about to ruin your day. "Ma'am, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Your engine's completely seized. Looks like the oil pump failed, probably been failing for months. Without oil circulation, the engine overheated and basically destroyed itself. Pistons are scored, cylinders are damaged, the whole thing's shot." Mechelle leaned against the hallway wall. "Can you fix it?" "I can. But you're looking at a full engine replacement or rebuild. Parts and labor, we're talking $6,000 to $8,000 minimum. And honestly, for a 15-year-old Honda with 200,000 miles, that's more than the car's worth. You'd be better off buying a different used car." $6,000 to $8,000. She had $37 in her checking account. How much would a used car cost? Her voice sounded distant, like someone else was asking. "Depends what you want. Something reliable with lower miles, you're still looking at $8,000 to $10,000. I could find you something cheaper, maybe $4,000 or $5,000, but it'd be older with higher mileage. Basically trading one problem for another. For $1,000 might as well be $4 million. Ms. Waller? You still there?" "Oh, Robert. Riley doesn't remember much. She was 5. Sometimes I'm grateful for that, sometimes it kills me that she's losing memories of her mother." He looked at the photos on the wall. "That's why I keep the pictures everywhere. Why I talk about Sarah constantly. So Riley never forgets she was loved. Mechelle understood completely. Different circumstances, different losses, but the same fierce determination to protect their daughters from feeling unwanted or forgotten. "You're doing everything right," she said softly. "So are you." Their eyes met. Held. There was something there. Understanding, recognition, the awareness of two people who'd been fighting similar battles in different ways. Not attraction exactly, though Mechelle couldn't deny he was handsome. More like recognition, kinship. "Dad." Riley called from the living room. "Can Sienna stay for a movie? Please. We want to watch Frozen." Robert looked at Mechelle questioningly. She should say no. Should take Sienna home, maintain boundaries, not let this evening become something regular. But Sienna was happy. Genuinely happy. When was the last time she'd had a friend to watch movies with? "One movie," Mechelle conceded. "But then we really need to go. School tomorrow." The girls cheered. Robert smiled. "I'll make popcorn." 3 hours later, Mechelle drove home in the Civic with Sienna half asleep in the back seat, humming "Let It Go" off-key. The car drove like a dream, smooth, quiet, reliable. Everything her old Honda wasn't. "Mama." Sienna's sleepy voice came from the back. "Yes, baby. Riley's nice. Can we see her again?" "Maybe. We'll see. I hope so. I like having a friend." Sienna yawned. "And Mr. Williams is nice too. He reminds me of the dads in movies." Michelle's throat tightened. Sienna had never had a father figure. Never experienced what a present, engaged dad looked like. "He's a good man," Mechelle said carefully. "But baby, remember we just met him. We can't count on people we barely know." "I know, Mama. You say that a lot." Yeah. She did. Because life had taught her that people left. People disappointed. People promised things they couldn't deliver. But as she pulled into her apartment parking lot, into a spot she could now reliably fill every day, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, Robert Williams might be different. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of routine that slowly became something more. Mechelle drove the Civic to work every day, marveling at not having to pray before every ignition, not having to worry about breaking down. Sienna rode safely in the back, no longer anxious about their commute. Robert texted occasionally. Nothing inappropriate, just checking that the car was running well, that she hadn't had any issues. Professional. Friendly. Appropriate. Then Riley invited Sienna to her birthday party. The invitation came through Robert, a text message that Mechelle read 3 times, trying to parse what it meant. "Riley's turning 10 next Saturday. Small party at our house, just a few kids from her class. She specifically asked if Sienna could come. No pressure if it's too much, but Riley would really love to have her there." Mechelle called Naomi immediately. "It's a kid's birthday party," Naomi said reasonably. "What's the problem?" "The problem is it's crossing from 'he helped me once' to 'our kids are becoming friends' to 'we're becoming part of each other's lives.' And I can't afford that kind of connection. Emotionally or literally. These people live in a different world, Naomi. His daughter's birthday party probably costs more than my rent. So, your daughter deserves friends." Riley sounds sweet. "Let Sienna go to the party. But what do I buy for a gift? What does a kid who has everything want? I can't compete with." "Mechelle. Stop." Naomi's voice was firm. "You're spiraling. Sienna wants to go to her friend's birthday party. That's it. That's all this is. Buy a normal present, show up, let your daughter have fun. Stop making it complicated." But it was complicated. Because Mechelle had caught herself thinking about Robert at odd moments. Remembering how kind he'd been. How he'd understood her situation without judgment. How good he was with Riley, patient and present and loving in ways Sienna's father had never been. She wasn't falling for him. She wasn't. But she was noticing him. and that felt dangerous. The birthday party was exactly what Naomi predicted, not ostentatious, just warm and welcoming. Robert had decorated the backyard with streamers and balloons. A bounce house occupied half the lawn. A long table held pizza, fruit, vegetables, juice boxes. Nothing over the top, just a lovely party for a 10-year-old girl. Riley greeted Sienna with a squeal and a hug, dragging her immediately toward the bounce house where several other girls were already playing. "She's been asking about Sienna all week," Robert said, appearing at Michelle's elbow. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting her." Mechelle held out the wrapped present, a ballet-themed journal she'd found at Target, carefully chosen to be nice but not embarrassingly cheap. "I hope she likes it. She'll love it. Riley journals every night. It's how she processes things." Robert gestured toward the patio. "Can I get you something to drink? We have lemonade, tea, wine for the brave parents who are staying." Mechelle hadn't planned to stay. But looking at Sienna's happy face, her daughter already absorbed in play with new friends, she found herself nodding. "Lemonade sounds great." The other parents were friendly, mostly mothers, a few fathers, all from Riley's private school. They welcomed Mechelle warmly, asking about Sienna, where she went to school, how old she was. Surface-level parent conversation that felt comfortable and safe. Then one woman, blonde, perfectly dressed, diamond earrings that probably cost more than Michelle's monthly salary, asked the question Mechelle had been dreading. "So how do you and Robert know each other?" The whole group was suddenly listening. Mechelle hesitated. What could she say? "He stopped when my car broke down? He gave me his late wife's car out of kindness? We barely know each other, but our daughters are friends? We met a few weeks ago," Mechelle said carefully. "Our daughters hit it off." "That's sweet." The blonde woman, her name tag read Jennifer, smiled. It didn't quite reach her eyes. "Robert's been so isolated since Sarah died. It's good to see him socializing again. Making new friends." The emphasis on friends was slight but unmistakable. "Robert and I aren't," Mechelle started. "Of course not. I didn't mean to imply anything." Jennifer's smile sharpened. "It's just that several of us have been trying to set him up for years. He's very particular about who he lets into his and Riley's life. You must be very special." The subtext was clear. "Who are you? Why you? What makes you think you belong here?" Mechelle felt herself pulling back, remembering every reason she shouldn't be here. The class difference. The wealth gap. The fact that she was a struggling single mother who'd accepted charity from a man whose world she didn't fit into. "Excuse me," she mumbled, heading toward the house. She found herself in Robert's kitchen, leaning against the counter, trying to steady her breathing. "Hey." Robert's voice came from the doorway. "You okay?" Jennifer can be intense. The reception was barbecue and sweet tea and dancing in the backyard while string lights glowed overhead. Sienna and Riley performed a ballet routine they'd choreographed themselves, to thunderous applause. Naomi gave a speech about persistence and hope, and how sometimes the universe sends exactly what you need in the form of a Range Rover in a rainstorm. As the sun set over Charleston, turning the sky pink and gold, Mechelle found herself alone with Robert for a moment while the girls played with other children and the guests mingled. "Happy?" Robert asked, his arm around her waist. Deliriously. She leaned into him. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is real. That 7 months ago I was broken down on a highway with $37, and now I'm married to you. Best breakdown ever. Best breakdown ever." She laughed. "Though I hope we don't have any more car emergencies. I think my heart can't take it." "About that." Robert pulled away slightly, his expression sheepish. "There's one more surprise." "Robert, no. You've given me so much already. Just wait here." He disappeared around the house. A moment later, an engine sound approached. Mechelle turned to see a car she recognized, her old Honda, but completely transformed. New paint job. Engine clearly running smoothly. Restored to better condition than she'd ever seen it. Robert climbed out, grinning. I had Martinez completely rebuild it. New engine, new transmission, everything. Thought maybe Sienna could have it when she turns 16. As a reminder that broken things can be fixed. That what seems like endings can become beginnings. Mechelle felt tears threatening again. Happy tears this time. You're ridiculous, she said. You love it. I love you. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. He pulled her close. You, me, Riley, Sienna. Our family. Built from broken pieces into something beautiful. Across the lawn, Sienna was teaching some younger children how to do a ballet twirl, patient and encouraging just like her mother. Riley was helping serve cake, responsible and kind just like her father. They're going to be okay, Mechelle said softly. Both of them. They have what they need now. Stability. Family. Love. Because of you. Because you kept fighting, even when everything was falling apart. Because you protected Sienna and gave her the strength to handle anything. Because you stopped, Mechelle countered. Because you chose kindness when you could have driven past. Because you honored Sarah by helping us. Robert was quiet for a moment. Then, I think Sarah would have liked you. Would have appreciated how you put Sienna first, how you fought for her, how you refused charity even when you desperately needed help. I think she would have liked that I make you happy. Yeah, she would have liked that most of all. They stood together watching their daughters play, their friends celebrate, their family, newly formed but already solid, enjoy this moment of pure joy. Thank you, Mechelle whispered. For what? For stopping. For helping. For seeing me as more than a charity case. For loving me. For giving Sienna a father who will actually stay. Thank you for trusting me. For taking the risk. For letting yourself believe that sometimes, miracles happen on highway shoulders in rainstorms. Riley and Sienna ran over, breathless and excited. Mom. Dad. Riley had started calling Mechelle Mom a month after the engagement. Can we sleep outside in the tent tonight? Please. It's a party, Sienna added. We should celebrate all night. Robert and Mechelle exchanged glances. The look of parents who knew they were about to be worn down but enjoyed the process anyway. Fine, Robert conceded. But you have to actually sleep at some point. The girls hooped and ran off to tell the other children. We're going to be up all night monitoring that tent, Mechelle predicted. Probably. But we're together, so it'll be an adventure. Everything with you is an adventure. Good. Robert kissed her forehead. That's how it should be. Adventures, love, family, and the knowledge that no matter what breaks down, we'll face it together. Mechelle looked at her husband, and at their daughters playing in the twilight, and at the beautiful life they'd built from a single moment of kindness. Sometimes fairy tales do happen. They just start with rainstorms, broken down cars, and strangers who choose to stop instead of driving past. And they end with love. Always with love. Mama. Dad. We're going to be late. Mechelle laughed as Sienna's voice echoed through the house that was now officially theirs, all four of them together. They'd moved out of Robert's old place 6 months ago into a new home they'd chosen together. 5 bedrooms, one for each of them, plus a guest room and an office where Mechelle could plan lessons and Robert could occasionally work from home. Robert appeared in the doorway of their bedroom, straightening his tie. Riley's been ready for an hour. She laid out her outfit yesterday and has checked her appearance 17 times. Well, it's not every day your kid wins a regional ballet competition. Mechelle finished her makeup, studying her reflection. A year ago, she'd been exhausted, stressed, barely surviving. Now she looked rested, happy, loved. And it's not every day your kid gets accepted into the advanced program at Charleston Ballet Academy, Robert countered. Sienna earned this. The scholarship had come through last month. Full tuition to one of the best ballet programs in the Southeast. Sienna had cried. Mechelle had cried. Even Robert had gotten a little misty. I never could have afforded this, Mechelle said quietly. A year ago, ballet lessons were a luxury I could barely manage. And now she's in an elite program with opportunities one never dreamed possible. A year ago, you were doing everything alone. Now you have a partner. Robert came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. That's what marriage means. Shared dreams. Shared resources. Shared joy when our kids succeed. Through the window, Mechelle could see the Civic parked next to Robert's Range Rover and the restored Honda that waited in the garage for Sienna's 16th birthday. 3 cars. 3 symbols of how far they'd come. You know what I was thinking about this morning? Mechelle asked. What? That rainstorm. Highway 17. Being stranded with $37 and no hope. I was so scared that night. And then you appeared. And everything changed. Best rainstorm of my life. Mine too. She turned in his arms. Thank you for stopping. For seeing us. For loving us. Thank you for letting me. For trusting me. For building this family with me. Parents. Riley's voice carried up the stairs. The recital starts in an hour. They laughed and headed downstairs together. Their daughters were waiting in the foyer, both in their performance outfits, both practically vibrating with excitement. Ready to show everyone what you've learned? Robert asked. Ready, the girls chorused. As they piled into the Range Rover, all 4 of them together, a family, Mechelle caught Robert's eye in the rearview mirror. He smiled. She smiled back. Some love stories start with chance meetings at coffee shops or dating apps or blind dates arranged by friends. Theirs started with a breakdown, a rainstorm, and a stranger who chose kindness. And it ended with everything she'd ever wanted. Love, family, security, joy. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes help comes from unexpected places. Sometimes strangers become family. And sometimes, when you're broken down on the side of a highway with no hope left, the headlights that appear through the rain belong to exactly the person you needed to meet. Thank you for reading this story of Mechelle and Robert. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite part, and subscribe for more inspiring love stories. Remember, sometimes miracles happen in rainstorms. Sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest futures. And sometimes, love finds you exactly when you've stopped looking for it. Until next time, keep believing in second chances and the kindness of strangers who stop when they could have driven past. This is your reminder that you are worthy of love, worthy of help, and worthy of all the beautiful things life has to offer.